I have owned my 2024 Tesla Model 3 for 12 months, and in that time, I've driven it over 15,000 miles in both scorching heat and frozen temperatures. I've charged the vehicle hundreds of times at home and on Superchargers. Somehow, through all of this, I have managed to maintain the battery's health at 98%. Hey everyone, it's Griffin here, and in today's video, I wanted to share with you 10 important tips and just advice that I've implemented to maintain my Tesla battery's health and avoid premature battery degradation, all of which you can also start using right away to help extend the life of your battery, improve charging efficiency, and just ultimately save money in the long run, whether you own a Tesla Model 3, Y, S, or X. Alright, so it's no secret that extreme cold weather can temporarily reduce your Tesla's range, up to like 30% depending on the conditions. In fact, that is range loss I have personally witnessed firsthand in my own Teslas as well. But here's the thing, despite the temporary drop in range that cold temperatures cause, this doesn't actually degrade the battery itself. In fact, once the battery pack warms back up, its performance and long-term health remain largely unaffected by the extreme cold. I mean, in moderation, of course. If you're leaving the car in, negative 30 Celsius all winter at below 5% charge to zero, then yes, that will negatively impact the battery's cells. Extreme heat, however, is a different thing altogether, as depending on the temperatures and long-term exposure, without any heat relief along the way, well, this can very well accelerate long-term degradation of your Tesla's battery pack, especially in temperatures above 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius for extended periods. So when your Tesla is parked in extreme heat, especially in direct beating sunlight, the elevated temperatures can accelerate chemical reactions inside the battery cells, which over time may contribute to faster degradation. And while Tesla's thermal management system does work to protect the battery, and yes, it does a great job at that, consistently exposing it to excessive heat can still shorten its overall lifespan. So overall, if you live in a particularly sunny or hot climate, it's a good idea to try to park your Tesla in the shade whenever possible, whether that's under a tree, let's say a carport, or even inside a garage if you have access to one. And look, of course, quick stops while running errands won't do any noticeable damage over time, but when it comes to that long-term parking of your Tesla and daily storage of it, keeping your Tesla out of direct sunlight can go a long way in preserving the health of your battery over time. But I fully understand that this isn't feasible for everyone. Alright, now it goes without saying that ideally you want to minimize battery degradation and keep your Tesla in the best condition possible for long-term performance. But let's say you've started to notice a significant drop in range while driving around town. Well, there's a way to actually determine what percentage your battery still has left that I'll share with you shortly. The good news in this situation is that if your Tesla is, say, still under warranty and the battery capacity ends up falling below 70% of its original rated capacity, you may be eligible for a free battery replacement under Tesla's warranty policy. The base Model 3 and Model Y both offer a warranty on the battery up to 8 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first, which you're eligible for if the battery drops below 70% capacity and isn't as a result though of flooding or excess water damage. For other Teslas such as the Model S, Model X, and Cybertruck, you'll be getting a warranty of 8 years or 150,000 miles. And for every other trim or model, you'll be getting 8 years or 120,000 miles, which is quite substantial. Now, as a side note, this does also cover the drive unit. But since the battery is what I want to focus on for this video, let's move on to the next point. Next up, let's actually talk about what your ideal charging limit should be when you're driving your Tesla. So naturally, you're going to want to find a daily charging limit that's going to fit your driving habits and schedule. And a good way to do this is to start by setting your charge limit to around 80% for, let's say, a week or so, and then tracking your state of charge when you return home each day from work and errands. From there, you can gradually lower the limit until you consistently finish your day with a comfortable comfortable buffer, ideally somewhere above the 20% state of charge range. And really, this should only take a day or two to determine and will ensure that you're only charging your Tesla to the level that you actually need, which helps reduce unnecessary battery wear over time. That being said, depending on the model you have and the type of battery you have installed in it. And side note here, the reason for this is that for cars that have an NCA battery, which we'll talk about shortly, well, those batteries want to stay within a charge limit of 20 to 80% pretty much at all times. Now, I personally have a Model 3 that's equipped with an LFP battery in it, meaning it's able to withstand higher temperatures more easily and frequently, while also being able to charge up to 100% on a more frequent basis without impacting the battery's health to the same degree as with, say, an NCA battery, which is what was installed in my previous 2021 Model 3. By the way, you can check which type of battery you have installed in your vehicle by going to the vehicle setting menu and then looking right here in more information. That being said, I still don't charge up my 2024 Model 3 to 100% super regularly as Tesla recommends, leaving it at 100% state of charge at all times. Rather, I usually do so around twice a month, so like bi-weekly, which works with how much I drive the vehicle, and then the rest of the time I pretty much just leave it at 80% maximum charge for daily driving. And for the record, you should always just keep your car plugged in at all times when you're not using it. Now keep in mind that as a general rule of thumb, all lithium batteries tend to struggle when at 100% charge for extended periods of time, which can lead to premature degradation. But ultimately, take this how you will, but do consider that this is what I've done over the years, and it's resulted in what I consider great battery longevity, at least for now. Now, if you want to stay on top of your Tesla battery's health, it could be a good idea to perform a battery health check every, say, year or so if you really feel like it. Anything more than once a year is probably going to be overkill and unnecessary. A battery check, though, will give you a clearer picture of how your battery is aging and signaling whether any noticeable degradation is occurring, either faster or slower than expected. And there are a few ways that you can go about doing this, but I'll walk you through the easiest and most accurate methods to check your battery's current health. So arguably the simplest and most accurate way to do this is going to be through Tesla's service mode battery health test that they've recently made available for pretty much all Tesla vehicles. I've already run this test and is what I'm basing my 98% results off of. So to conduct this health test, your Tesla needs to be plugged into a charger, at which point you'll navigate to Controls, Service, Battery Health Test, and from there you just hit Start Test and the test will begin. Now keep in mind that this test will take up to 24 hours. In fact, it took me 16 hours to perform, so do not expect to be able to use your Tesla while this test is underway. And the reason why it's so slow is because your Tesla will actually fully drain the battery to then recharge it back up to 100% and then spend some time figuring out the data to spit out a result. And so with this in mind, start the test when your vehicle's already on a very low state of charge. Otherwise, you're just wasting charge for nothing. Otherwise, if you want a quicker method that's not going to be nearly as impactful or accurate though, do keep that in mind, you can always just use the readout at 100% charge. So charge up your vehicle to 100% and just tap the battery icon to take a look at the projected or estimated range displayed by your Tesla. And if it's down around, say, 5% after your first year, that's going to be relatively normal. But anything more than that is going to be cause to look into further. Obviously, your main goal here should be to pay attention to your general battery's health, but if there are any sudden dips, you can also schedule service to get it looked at before you actually run out of warranty. Next up, you will probably come across plenty of advice online, some of it even from my older videos, warning against frequent supercharger use to preserve your Tesla's battery. Now, for the record, those recommendations that even I made in my videos were based on the best available data at the time. However, some more recent studies are suggesting that regular supercharging isn't necessarily as harmful to long-term battery health as we once believed. Or not we, but battery scientists, especially with Tesla's advanced battery management systems in place now in the vehicles. So there's a common belief that relying heavily on superchargers rather than, say, your level 2 home charging can accelerate battery degradation. However, recent data tells a different story, including what you're seeing on these charts right here. Additionally, Tesla has already confirmed through its own internal data that frequent supercharging causes little to no additional battery wear. That being said, it's their own data, so take that with a grain of salt. The other information from this charts that we just looked over, though, are from a third-party research group and study. And yeah, in that independent study, they analyzed fast charging habits across more than 12,500 Tesla vehicles in the US and came to this conclusion: there is no real measurable downside to using superchargers more often than not. So while it may be a widespread misconception that supercharging is harmful, the reality seems to be quite the opposite. In fact, Tesla's own data shows that even after 200,000 miles, the average battery has only lost about 12% of its original capacity, which is remarkably low and well within expectations for long-term use. Now, I personally don't supercharge much because my at-home charging is really the most convenient, but when I am on the road, of course, supercharging is a lifesaver and it's what I use, and I've supercharged probably over 50 times already with my current Model 3. It obviously has an impacted range based on my battery's health result. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, thanks a lot for watching. Please consider leaving this video a like, really helps the channel out. And if you want to support my channel and the work that I do here, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront, link down below in this video's description. Essentially, I've just curated a list of great Amazon accessories for your Tesla Model 3 or Model Y that I've either personally used and or tested out and recommend. So make sure to check that out. It's at no extra cost to you, and you can get some great accessories for your Tesla. Okay, now before we get into any further tips, I do want to set some realistic expectations for all of you watching. Tesla does engineer its packs for well over 200,000 miles of range, as I mentioned earlier, or not of range, but of total distance traveled. So seeing your range go down a little bit after the first year, though, is very well going to be expected and isn't the end of the world, at least in moderation though. According to Tesla, you should be looking to lose no more than really 15% of your total range for the long range Model 3 and Model Y after the 200,000 mile threshold, while batteries in the Model S and Model X should lose just around 12% of their capacity on average after the first 200,000 miles of driving. Now, do keep in mind though that this is just a rough estimate, and obviously you can be looking at higher or lower depending on how often you use your Tesla, what conditions you're driving it in, and how well you take care of your vehicle and its battery overall. But on average, you'll probably lose the most in your first roughly 15,000 miles of driving, and then after that it'll probably slow down and begin to flatten out gradually, as once again seen in these charts. The main takeaway here is that some degradation is natural, so don't be too shocked to see your Tesla lose out on some of its range within the first few years and even after that as well. It's just a natural part of owning an electric vehicle, and every EV is going to experience this phenomenon during its lifespan. Just think about, your 2-year-old iPhone, it can probably hardly keep a charge. Okay, moving on, one of the most important tips to follow closely is to avoid leaving your Tesla parked for extended periods of time at either extreme of the battery's charge range, especially at 100% or below 20%. So if you need to charge your battery to 100%, for example, before a road trip, make sure to begin driving shortly after it reaches full charge, assuming your vehicle uses an NMC or NCA battery. Leaving it at 100% charge for too long if you have one of these two battery types, especially if done repeatedly, can very well accelerate battery degradation. Similarly, Tesla advises against storing your vehicle with less than 20% charge for extended periods. And while it's fine, occasionally, of course, that will happen, if your battery icon turns yellow and you're hovering around that threshold, it's really just best to recharge it as soon as you can. Ultimately, what harms battery health most in this respect, though, is prolonged storage at either high or low extremes. So for optimal long-term performance, aim to keep your Tesla's state of charge between, above 30 and below 80% when possible. Ideally, right around the 50% mark is going to be your best bet. From here, this one might sound obvious, but it's crucial as well. Always keep your Tesla's software up to date. Tesla regularly rolls out over-the-air updates that not only improve features and fix bugs, but often include efficiency enhancements and optimizations that can directly benefit your battery's performance and longevity as well, believe it or not. These updates may refine thermal management systems, charging behavior, or even regen braking, among other things, all of which helping your battery operate more efficiently over time. So when you receive a notification that an update is available, make sure to not delay, install it when it's convenient. I usually schedule mine for around 2 a.m. so it doesn't interrupt driving or any charging plans. Just keep in mind that during that updating process, your Tesla won't be able to drive or charge for safety reasons. So avoid starting an update when you might need the car and try to schedule it overnight or during downtime for the smoothest experience. Now, when it comes to home charging, many Tesla owners wonder whether using a wall connector is better or, say, gentler for battery health compared to a standard wall outlet. And the truth is, there's no meaningful difference in battery degradation between a level 1 charger and a level 2 charging system. Tesla's battery management system is really just designed to handle a wide range of charging speeds without compromising long-term battery health. Case in point, we just looked over the fact that the supercharging isn't going to be nearly as bad for your battery's long-term health as we once believed, and that is going to be pumping in a heck of a lot more juice at a way quicker rate than any level 2 or level 1 charging ever could. That said, though, in regards to charging at home, there are definitely some practical reasons to consider upgrading from a level 1 charging system, which is significantly slower and might not actually be sufficient for daily use depending on your needs, especially if you live in colder climates. Reason being is that in extreme cold, a 120 volt outlet might struggle to provide enough power to both heat the battery and charge it efficiently. And in some cases, the battery may use most of that incoming energy just to warm itself, leaving little power to actually recharge the pack. So while charging speed doesn't directly impact battery longevity, for convenience, reliability, and especially if you live in a colder region, upgrading to a level 2 charger like Tesla's wall connector, I believe could be a smart move. All right, so those are the parameters I've personally followed over the past few years to maintain my battery's health levels. And if you think I've forgotten anything, don't hesitate to comment them down below this video. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I post one video every week here on Saturdays. And again, if you want to support my work, check out the links down below in this video's description to check out my Amazon storefront for great accessories for your Tesla, as well as if you're picking up a new vehicle, $5 delivery day checklist for Model 3s and Model Ys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next one.